Uncle Ron and Stuff, episode 10, part 7. I told you in part 6 that I thought I was done, but I'm not. My head's still full of all sorts of thoughts about thoughts and the brain and whatever. Uh, More I add. Memory. I explained how we're memory based and that memories, like memories with chemical signatures, that's a good way. They link together so that memories of a particular object, and I call them objects loosely as a class of things. It could be word, an object, visual object, or uh, a classification of some kind. Anyway, part of the memory thing is I told you how they were linked together, but also I didn't tell you that there is a pruning action that can occur. So if certain memories are not refreshed or they contribute little to the firestorm which cascades across the brain when stimulus comes in and the neurons start firing, synapses and the pathways start firing. There are some pruning that occurs. Old memories which no longer are applicable get pruned out. Okay, on the higher level function, I said above all this firestorm cascade that occurs at stimulation is some sort of area of the brain that says, okay, out of that firestorm occurred, what should I do in the here and now? It's a response sort of thing. And an auditory, particularly if you're conversation with somebody, you're listening, and if you're really, really listening, you're not thinking about a response right away, but that's difficult. But anyway, that's being analyzed, the firestorm of listening to what you're hearing, and memories are firing off so you can actually relate to what is being said to you, and uh, a response is generated in some way, or thoughts, if you will, memories trigger that may be applicable, and so on. Um, uh, I talked about in a ways back that all of a sudden my speakers started talking to me. Uh, that in a ways back I talked about the Tower of Babel that I have, which is some sort of model or hierarchy of, uh, I think self identity is a good way to put it. And everybody has a self identity. And those are made up of things that are abstractional in nature. Uh, Concepts like morals, ethics, uh, confidence. Confidence is strange because it's obviously made up from memories, but up in that higher level that looks at the cascades, there has to be some resident memories as well up there that say you have confidence in something or generate perhaps anxiety. And I continue to leave out the whole mind body link, but certainly one of the responses you can get when the firestorm sweeps across your memories is, oh no, anxiety, or can release, your body can release uh, adrenaline, which flight, something, there is a strong mind body connection in that sense. But from an abstractional point of view, there's all sorts of things that are available to us that we create over time up in this higher level, which obviously does have memory associated with it, that, like things, belief systems, if you will, that resides, I think, up in the next higher level up. Yes, it comes out of memories, but it's also formulated in some sort of abstractual way up there. Uh, and we believe in all kinds of stuff. It's amazing if you start thinking about it, and I encourage you to think about what do you believe in, and you'll be surprised how many things you believe in that you didn't realize you believed in. I'll give you an example. Every time I drive my car over a bridge, I have firm belief that it's not going to fall down when I drive over it. I have belief that when it was constructed, they knew what they were doing. They did a good job, and it's not just going to randomly fall down. I believe that. Now, you you say, well, I never thought about that. Well, there's all kinds of things like that that you take for granted, but underneath of it is associated belief. Okay, and then there's obviously religion comes to mind because I say belief. It there's no tangible, concrete evidence for whatever, but you accept it. Okay. Religion, a lot of that case. You have the Bible as a background. I understand that. You know, it's written down so it can be believable in that sense. You have your own personal experiences that make it believable. I talked about that with God and the devil and so on. But there are beliefs up there. There's also a lot of stereotyping that goes on up there, and that's just human nature. We have to classify things and we put them in there. That resides, I think, in the upper level stuff. But the structure of who you are, self identity, uh, that's an interesting concept. We all have it. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but I guess it means that what we think we are, who we are, uh, we're comfortable with it, or we should be comfortable with who we are. It obviously changes and evolves over time as we add experiences, both not negative and positive. Uh, and we that area up there also is a repository of perhaps strategies, which is an abstractual sort of concept. Uh, I give you an example of that when I played baseball. Uh, I bought myself a 30-inch long black bat, and I took my black bat to baseball with me all the time, and I hit a lot of home runs with that bat. It was my bat. Okay, well, I got old enough and I was good enough that I got a tryout in the next league up. I took my own 30-inch bat. Now I'm batting or trying to hit against pitchers that throw a whole lot faster and they know how to do curves and so on. I couldn't hit anything, nothing. And I was mystified by it because, anyway, in that particular case, it turned out that when I went to a 34-inch bat, I could hit again. I had stuck with the belief that that 30-inch bat was magic somehow and it would hold me forever. And so I held on to belief, to thoughts that were no longer valid, and we all do that. Something that worked in the past that you keep knowledge of at some place up in a higher level, I think, uh, can get corrupted in that it's no longer valid, but we continue to try to use the same old strategies for things. Okay, strategy uh, is an abstractual. When I talk about the Tower of Babel, it's everything built up from strategies, ethics, morals, self identity, uh, how we react to others. I don't know where that fits into the big framework, but it's part of it. Again, I don't know if you've ever thought about these things, but you might want to contemplate what are your morals? What are your ethics? What strategies do you use in certain situations? When you come into a new situation you've never had before, what do you draw on? You have to draw on something to be able to respond. It may not fit very well, but you've got to try something. Anyway, the organization of those things, which I said I had to tear the Tower of Babel down and rebuild it, and part of that rebuilding is the biggest, most important stuff had to go at the bottom for everything else to be built on top. And I use a hierarchical pyramid sort of approach, a model for that. Um, Abstractional stuff, uh, thinking. Thinking is abstractional in a sense. It's like, okay, I said questioning was a big part of that, and it is true. But there's other aspects to it that I don't know I can quantify into words. Um, and you know what I'm talking about, although I can't describe it clearly. But in this higher level domain, if you will, or region of the brain that allows for analysis of the memories below it and the firestorm that goes across, there's got to be some also memories associated there that are in a different sort of format. They're they remember that the firestorm came across once and it had these sort of parameters associated with it. It was in response, this is what I got when this happened. And this is how I responded to it, and it was either successful or it wasn't. That's sort of stored up in another region of material. And then on top of that, I said there was a mystical area. And that's, we, I don't know what all resides up there, but it probably has the same sort of analysis of lower level stuff as well as memory associated with it. Uh, I'm fumbling. Teachers do lesson plans before they try to do a class, or they have a lesson plan for the whole semester or whole course. I don't have any such thing, so I'm doing it off the cuff. All I'm really trying to do is stir up your thinking, and that you think about things that maybe you've never thought about. And self-identity, self-identity, self-identity. Who are you? How do you project yourself? Or I call it a persona. There was a thing about we all wear masks in public. We hide stuff, or we wear a mask. We're something that's in behind that mask. In my case, I always thought I was right behind my eyes. The visual is so dominant that my whole being is right behind my eyes. Anyway, who am I? What am I to other people? At Prasanna, I used to have to give lectures to large numbers of people, 500 in a crowd. It was very frightening, as any public speaking is for normal people. Politicians seem to do it easily. But anyway, the problem was I would get up and start giving this talk on something or another, and I would I would fall into some sort of persona, and I call it persona. One of them was like preacher, and I'm not sure that's not what I'm doing here. I'm preaching about you should be thinking about some things, but the preacher aspect of it. The other persona which seemed to come naturally was the old homeboy, like a southern hick boy or something. I don't know. It was those seemed to fall out, and neither one really was me. And that's what was disturbing about it. It highlighted to me that I was projecting personas which have to be me, but they didn't really mirror who I wanted to be up on that podium talking. Like I'm not sure who I'm trying to be with you. Um, I don't. I think my self identity is pretty solid, and I think I present the same self identity everywhere at all the time to anybody. Uh, by and large, I try to stay off in the corner. If people want to talk to me, they come to me. I don't want to stick myself on other people because I'll ask questions, and pretty soon I'll get into territory where they don't want to think about it. And maybe that's the case here. But there's a whole ton of abstractual sort of things that humans do that we get laid on to us, and we also develop on our own. And those are highly interesting, and I can't even encompass all of them. Higher level mathematics is an interesting field, and the thinking that goes in and associated with that, or any sort of advanced anything from protein structures and DNA creation. All sorts of abstractional models are used to develop an understanding of those things. The whole concept of models, using models is an abstraction, which is real handy, and I'm not sure that everybody develops uh, tools for using models to solve a particular problem. I do remember, and I've had ruts, everybody has ruts. I do remember when I'd go to start doing something, I remember very clearly I was trying to take out a concrete pad in the yard that I didn't want there anymore. So I can do that. So I take a sledgehammer out there and I bang on it a few times and I can't make any headway at all. I bang on a corner, I move around, try different perspectives on it. I bang around with a sledgehammer. I'm not getting anywhere. Okay, so I rent an electric jackhammer. I start in the center and I'm jackhammering and lean on it. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm getting some dust, but that's about it. I go on a corner, I start doing that. Yeah, it's not working either. So my normal thought process is, well, I'm not going to be able to do this myself. Uh, is there any other tools that I can think of that would make it easier to do? Well, not that I can get a hold of. I can't rent like a backhoe or anything. So the next thing is, all right, well, who can I hire to do it for me? And what's it going to cost? And then I start thinking, well, but I don't know who to hire to do this, where would I even look? So anyway, in the meantime, it's like, well, I'll just persist and use the jackhammer and persist, and I persisted, keep jackhammering. And I finally started getting some progress. I got a little chunk off. Okay, so, well, I started having some faith or confidence. Maybe maybe this will work. And so, I kept going with the jackhammer and I got it out. So one of the lessons, yeah, there is a routing that when you're faced with a problem and you're not getting anywhere, oh, well, maybe I can't do it, or maybe I could get somebody else to do it for me. Or finally, the last one was persistence. Part of my self-confidence, if you will, is persistence. I'm not the smartest guy in the world at all, because I've met people way, way smarter than I am for sure. Their ability to focus and so on is incredibly beyond what I have that can do. But I am persistent. I can keep at it. And I have some confidence that I can keep at it. If I keep at it long enough, whatever my goal was, I can achieve it. So that sort of abstractional confidence, self-identity is something I do have. What your self-identity is, I don't know. There's a big self-identity having to do whether you're male or female. Now, lately there's been some, slipping and sliding about that says, well, I can identify as a female or I can identify as a male because that's the way I feel or I think, or I'm drawn to male or female type things. And I understand that as well. That's highly possible. I don't know exactly how that formulates out. Margaret Mead was an anthropologist, and one of her claims was a child, an infant, is not born with a clean slate. That means we come in and I don't want to say it's memories, but the brain has some uh, ancient aspect to it, and I'm sort of gathering what I didn't understand, and I'm not sure, I don't think I got proof for it, but that parents can in fact pass on some sort of memories to their children in some sort of fashion. Uh, and that's an interesting concept. Margaret Mead says we're not born with a clean slate, and I think that's what she meant was, and if you've ever had children, from day one, they seem to exhibit a particular personality. They can be fussy. Of course, that's physiological based primarily, but there's other things too. And that they have a personality already they have some sort of persona. They have some sort of uh, I don't think it's maybe it's self-identity. I don't know. But anyway, there's all sorts of abstractual layers that we have: ethics, morals. You can read a horse. You can read a horse. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. All sorts of euphemisms that we get taught or heard about, and they become knowledge and maybe part of our belief system. The belief system is huge. We believe in lots and lots and lots of stuff, and we take it for fact when that's not true. We have never really confirmed what we believe to be true or factual, or we believe it, but we accept it. And a big part of how we react to the world and so on is based on beliefs, and also higher level, laid down memories. Well, what worked in the past, and responses, uh, tried and true methods or strategies. In the mystic area, in especially communications and feeling the universe, that we don't ever talk about. I don't know. The word woke is being used a lot these days. Somebody's woke and they know that racism is wrong, or the women don't get treated fairly in every dimension, and those are all true. But there is also, I think, another aspect to woke that means that the mystical is coming more into play, that you have some sort of better, you're beginning to feel that aspect of being a human that you're unfamiliar with because it hasn't been ever talked about or suggested, or yes, perhaps in some religions and shamans and various tribal people, they've known about it for a long, long time, but we as civilized man tend to dismiss those things when we shouldn't. We're scientists. We believe in 2 and 2 equal 4. Uh, if you lose I walked out one day, my car was gone. Like, well, that can't be. It was in the driveway. It can't be. It can't be gone. I went back in the house and came out and looked again. It can't be. But it's gone. I couldn't believe it. Where did it go? Well, in some sort of mystical plane, if you will, I didn't go look underneath the trash can. I didn't uh, go up the street and look up and down the street because I knew it couldn't be there. Well, that's a construct that we limited our thinking to. It can't be. Well, some things are that can't be. So that concept, you have to unlearn some of the stuff that you got taught or you believe, because there are areas, there are domains, there are dimensions to reality that can only be seen or approached or understood or felt when you're awake, when you're woke, and that you are willing to accept that, yeah, my car that's gone, maybe I put it in my pocket. I forgot. I was doing something else and I put it in my pocket. You're going, yeah, that's stupid. Well, it's a really crude, bad example, but I'm trying to make the point that there are a whole other dimension of things that lie outside of logic, reason, beliefs, all those sorts of things. We don't talk about it very much, but it's there. You may have sensed it, you may not have. I don't know how it develops or when it develops. I don't know anything about that. I've rambled on way too long again. I don't know if this is the end of it or not, but I'm still trying. I don't think there's anybody out there anywhere watching any of this stuff, but maybe I'm just documenting it for myself. Maybe in the years ahead I'll look back on these things and go, what the hell are you talking about? What is wrong with you? Anyway, this is episode 10. I think it's part 7, and it's the 19th of December 2022, It's still cold outside, and Christmas is coming. Bye bye for now, and I wish you a happiest of New Years.